I'm here today with Layla Wall, and we're going to be focusing on authoritarian parenting styles and how that relates to her and her family. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Layla?
I'm 15 years old. I am a sophomore at DeBakey High School. I live with both my parents, and I have a little sister.
Which guardian are we going to be talking about mostly in this instance?
My dad.
And you said you have a little sister, meaning your parents had 2 children, correct?
Yes.
How long have they been married for?
About 15 or 16 years.
Okay. And based on earlier research, we found that your parent has an authoritarian kind of parenting style. This kind of parenting style is defined as the parent's word is law. It should not be questioned, and the punishment here is strict. Would you mostly say that this is the correct parenting style for your parents?
Yes.
Or at least your dad?
Yes.
Can you give us an example where this kind of parenting style was shown in your life?
A couple of examples are, for instance, when I get invited out places to go alone or with friends, I'm most of the time not allowed to go unless there is an adult with me at all times.
Are there any other kind of examples you can give?
I am expected to have a very high grade average, or at least know that I'm trying my hardest in school. Usually that means A's or high B's.
Are there any downsides to having this kind of parenting style?
There's definitely a lot of pressure that comes along with it, and also you feel, I feel kind of, I guess, left out, you could say, because I'm not always allowed to go everywhere. Yeah.
Are there any upsides to having this kind of parenting style?
It'll definitely help in the future because I will know how to make right choices for myself and how to work hard.
Talking with Monique Picasso. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Monique?
Sure. Well, I'm 50 years old. I've been married for 29 years. I have 4 kids, 3 girls, 1 boy. My husband and I have been parents for 28 years. My oldest just turned 28.
Okay. And based on earlier research, we found that you are a parent with an authoritative kind of parenting style. This kind of parenting style is defined as setting limits, but the limits are flexible, encouraging maturity, and forgives the child if they have fallen short. You are also considered a guide for your children. Would you agree in saying this is how you have raised your children?
Yes.
Can you give us an example on why you wanted to raise your children with this kind of parenting style?
Well, I grew up in a home that was strict. And so when my mom said no, it was no, and there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And so while I always respected her for what she said, because it's what you do, I didn't want to raise my children in the same kind of environment. And so as some of my no's are still no, because I'm mom and that's what I say, I try not to be that way. I try to give them reasons as to why I'm saying no, or why the best route is not what they want. And, being 50, I have just a little bit more wisdom than they do.
Would you say there are any downsides to this kind of parenting style for you?
There is a downside. I don't want them to hate me for always saying no, but I do want them to know that, I am a parent, and I always say that one day they're going to be parents and they're going to understand all of my reasoning as to why I did what I did as they were growing up.
Can you list some of the upsides to this kind of parenting style?
So Proverbs 22:6 says, train up a child in the way he should go, and he will not depart from those ways. And that's how my husband and I, want to make sure that we raise our children. Exodus 20:12 says, honor your mother and father. And I kind of always tell my kids that, again, the way my mom raised me was not the ideal way, because there was never a reasoning behind her no's. It was just no because she was mom and that was it. But I want to be able to, but I never disrespected her. And so I can see the fruit of that today, where my kids don't disrespect me. they do honor me. So I want them to, know that once they have kids also, one of my favorite Bible verses is you reap what you sow. So I'm reaping today what I sowed in regards to respecting my mother. And so that's the way, I'm praying that the kids are going to respect me and do, as their father and I say. And then once they get older, again, they will understand all of our reasoning for, some of our no's.
Do you overall like this parenting style over the others?
Yes, I'd rather much, explain to the kids on why we said yes or why we said no. Or, there are times when sometimes, a reasoning for no is just no, because in my mom gut, that's how it is. And I don't want, I have to go on that, after, their father and I have, prayed about it, then, we know that prayer says no, and then that's how we're going to do it.
Thank you for being involved in this interview.
Not a problem.
Is a 15-year-old. I'm homeschooled and I'm currently living with my mom right now.
Is it safe to assume that we're going to be talking about your mom solely in this interview?
No, we will be talking about both of my parents, and they've been divorced for about 5 years now.
If you don't mind me asking, how many children do your parents have?
They have 2 daughters, me and my older sister, who is 24.
Based on earlier research, we found that your parent has a permissive kind of parenting style. This kind of parenting style is defined as making few demands and having low expectations for maturity. Parents like this are nurturing and accepting. Would you say your parents are like this?
Yes, my parents are very nurturing and accepting to me.
Okay, if you don't mind talking, can you give us an example on how your parents had a permissive parenting style?
Yes. They're not very strict. They let me go places as long as I have a friend or my phone on me at all times. For example, they let me drive to skate parks, day or night. I'm allowed to have a vape pen to help with my anxiety. They let me drink under parental supervision. My parents are more like friends to me. The downside is my parents like to be very brutally honest with me and joke about me in front of my friends and family about how lazy and how I don't do anything, and compare me to a 2-year-old per se. That's the only downside.
Overall, do you like that your parents have this kind of parenting style?
Yes, I do. I think it's better than having a super strict parent, and I love my parents.
Okay, I think that concludes our interview, and thank you for being.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Penelope Castellan. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Penelope?
I am 16, I'm homeschooled, and my parents live 4 hours away from each other, and their parenting style is very different.
How many children do your parents have?
They have both been divorced twice, so they have 9 in total.
Which parent are we going to be talking about in this instance?
We're going to be talking about my dad.
Okay. Based on earlier research, we found that you had a parent with a neglectful kind of parenting style. This means they are oblivious to their children's behavior, they seem not to care, and their children basically do whatever they want. Would you consider this correct with your father?
Yeah.
Can you give us an example where this kind of parenting style was shown?
He completely neglected me probably for the first 8 years of my life. He was never present. He never cared about what I did in school. He never cared about my grades. He never cared about extracurricular activities. Just me in general didn't matter to him, period.
Is there any downside that you can tell by having this kind of parenting style with your father?
Well, obviously I just never had a relationship with him, and still to this day it affects our relationship now because we just never bonded growing up, and so it's kind of like he's not really my dad. He's just more of this guy that can tell me what to do because I'm his daughter, but we don't have a bond at all.
Do you think there's any upside to this or no?
I mean, if I really wanted to look at it in a positive way, then yeah, I could. There's obviously more downsides than upsides, but probably just that I got away with a lot more because my mom isn't as strict. Well, not that he's strict, it's just more that I'm trying to figure out how to explain it. My mom's a lot nicer than him, and so I just really didn't have to deal with him at all because he neglected me.
Do you wish he wasn't this kind of parenting style, that he was one of the others?
Well, yeah, of course I do. Yeah.
I think that's it for our interview. Thank you for being here.